I think something that happens commonly in Trinidad and Tobago is that you have some ministers might buy a property and then rent it back to the state. And the amount of money they'd rent it to the state for, the state could easily use that same money and build a permanent building and not have to pay any rent and end up with, a permanent asset that they could use indefinitely. So what kind of corruption would that be?
That's public corruption because it's a public official who is ruining the well-being of the tax money, channeling it to his rental property.
And even if that is perfectly legal, and there isn't any rules against, let's say, like a conflict of interest, that would still be considered corrupt because of how it affects the well-being of the people.
Absolutely. But the thing of being legal, we have to be careful with laws because there's some laws, all laws are legal, but not all laws are moral. I can remember a time where it was lawful to put black people at the back of the bus. That's not morally right. That's morally wrong. And I can remember laws where only the British Empire can deal opium. And I can remember laws where only the British Empire can mine salt in the coasts of India because extracting salt from the sea was Her Majesty's business. That was the law. It wasn't moral. And like that we have other laws. Gradually people refine themselves. I gave you examples of 100 and 200 years ago, and that's a bit unfair. We should be more recent. But they were laws at that time. Well, the one about riding in the back of the bus is not that old. It was in 1960s. That's not right.
Yeah, just 60 years ago. Yeah.
And if we go to other latitudes in Africa, I can remember countries in Africa that were 20 years ago where you couldn't ride. You had to always walk on the sunny side of the street. And that was the law. But it's not morally right. So anything that is legal, especially when they're structurally corrupt laws that have been passed, the fact that they're legal doesn't make them right.
All right, so you could have, the corrupt laws, and that's what structural corruption is.
That's what structural corruption is. And they're usually passed by very educated and sophisticated people. So they're not easily to detect, and they don't have a trail. And it's not easy to find out who is the head of all of this. It's actually a headless form of corruption. That's why it is so heinous.